information came direct from Meghan's ex-husband, Trevor Engelson, via an intermediary. And obviously Trevor Engelson is a very successful TV producer. He now has his own family. He's very happy.
I've met a couple times her ex-husband. I'm sure
Meghan's?
Yes, I met him like personally. We were supposed to, a while.
Somebody set you up.
We met in the lobby of the Soho House in Chicago and just sort of like flirted and then started talking and then met once in LA. Very briefly, we talked about doing a project. He said his ex was a woman from a show called Suits. I didn't know what the show was. I didn't know the woman. Months later, I see pictures in Us Weekly of Harry's dating someone, and I text him to be like, is this your ex? And he's like, yup. And I'm like, I go, you think she's gonna close? And he's like, oh, she'll close. And I don't want to get into more about that, but he was like, she'll close. So
he's moved on. He has put Meghan behind him. He probably is not interested in people bringing up his past relationship. He has 3 children now with his new...
So Meghan and Harry don't want the association with the flashy cashy, with the overtly American, and also they're supposed to appear understated, Montecito, muted tones, and this is a different look. Anyone's allowed to take any picture down that they want, and I mean, I can't imagine going to that event and not thinking that somehow your picture would end up somewhere, but they couldn't resist the temptation of going, but also wanted to resist the temptation of showing, and they didn't do anything wrong. It's just been hard to be them because they have been riding between 2 worlds for a long time, and they just have to land, accept where they land. Don't bite the hand that's now feeding them and lean all the way in. They should be in the first slider pick with Jeff Bezos and the Kardashians. You gotta dance with the one who brung you and not the ones who aren't even inviting you to their dance anymore. You're welcome.
So, and listen, I want to say this to you in the best way, because I wonder if you could rewrite your public narrative from scratch. Is there anything that you would do differently? Yes, I would ask people to tell the truth.
Meghan Markle, meet the truth. Truth, meet Meghan Markle. I don't think you know each other. In fact, I fear that you're complete strangers. Yep, the devious Duchess is at it again, playing the victim card, lashing out at all those horrible lies that all those nasty people tell about her. By that, she means anything that anyone says about her that she doesn't like.
I mean, how could she tell this stuff and get away with it?
She married for money. It's very clear she bagged the elephant. She was thrilled. She became a, quote, princess.
Well, you can...
It was planned from the beginning. She denied being interested in the royal family, which she totally was. I know someone who knows the ex-husband who said she had a vision board with Prince Harry on it.
Before they met?
Yes. And she wants to
That's
pretend.
impressive. You got to admit that is impressive.
She really thought she had everything handled. She really believed the past was buried deep enough that no one would ever dig it up again. But sometimes life has its own wicked timing, and suddenly someone from way back, someone who actually knew her before the Hollywood gloss, before the royal titles, before the carefully curated image, steps forward and quietly drops a truth bomb that flips the entire narrative upside down. And that is exactly what just happened to Meghan Markle. Not through some desperate tabloid looking for clicks, not from royal reporters who get blamed for having agendas. No, this came from the only man who saw her before the reinvention, before the spotlight, before the persona, Trevor Engelson.
Trevor said to Bethany Frankel about how Meghan was going to snare Harry when they first met. Absolutely fascinating stuff.
For years, Meghan has tried to keep her first marriage tucked away, almost like an old chapter she didn't want anyone rereading.
It is pretty extraordinary, isn't it? I mean, I think she's just got so used to lying that maybe, in my opinion, she believes the lies she tells. I don't know, but either way, she's just been so consistently loose with the...
For years, Meghan has tried everything to keep that first marriage tucked away like an old diary she hopes no one ever opens again. She treated it like some accidental chapter she didn't want anyone rereading, especially now that she's tried so hard to paint a new version of herself. It was always the quiet part of her past, the part she never wanted resurfacing. But the universe has a hilarious sense of timing.
Reason why is because she had a personal relationship, maybe even slightly romantic relationship with Meghan Markle's ex-husband.
But then Bethany Frankel, who wasn't even trying to expose anything, she wasn't hunting for drama, wasn't out for revenge, just casually shared a story about meeting Trevor. And that's all it took. One random, relaxed conversation, one harmless memory. And then she said the line that detonated the internet.
Your ex? And he's like, yup. And I'm like, I go, you think she's gonna close? And he's like, oh.
In that story was a single sentence from Trevor that sent shockwaves everywhere. Bethany asked him if he believed Meghan would close with Harry. And Trevor didn't even hesitate. No doubt, no confusion, just pure certainty. Oh, she'll close. That's it, just 3 calm words. But the weight behind them? Oh, it wasn't simple at all. Because anyone who has watched Meghan's journey, from actress hustling in Hollywood, to stepping into the royal spotlight, to reinventing herself again in Montecito, immediately felt what Trevor meant. He wasn't talking about love or fate or soulmates. He wasn't describing a fairy tale romance. He was describing the way Meghan moves, the way she thinks, the way she plots her next step, like she's already looking at the finish line, while everyone else is still figuring out the race.
He decided to target Harry at some point, but yes, it is targeting, it is closing a deal.
She decided to target Harry at some point, but yes, it is targeting. It is closing a deal. And the crazy part? The public understood it instantly. It sounded like a man who had seen her close deals before, a man who had lived through the blueprint. Suddenly, everything people whispered for years didn't feel like gossip anymore. It felt like confirmation. And Trevor had front row seats to that version of Meghan, the one who calculates, who prepares, who adapts, who always keeps her eye on the opportunity she wants.
Who obviously had to deal with that, had to deal with the ring being returned by post. And you're so right. It's like, she'll close. It was absolutely like talking about a deal, and he knew that she...
And what made it even messier? The timing. Because this didn't come out during some quiet month. No, this surfaced right after Meghan embarrassed herself at Kris Jenner's birthday party, a night she thought would be her big Hollywood comeback moment. Instead, the leaked pics made her look stiff, stressed, and like she wasn't fitting in at all. She wanted this moment to scream, "I'm back." But the internet took one look and whispered, "Yikes."
Harry is looking at Kris.
Oh.
If you look closely, okay.
His eyes.
Do you see where they are?
On her boobs.
And he looks wasted, wasted. And Meghan, that's your prize, okay? That's your duke, your prince of the blood. He's ogling a 70-year-old.
And before people online could even decide what exactly felt wrong about the photos, they vanished, just disappeared like magic. Hollywood knows exactly what it means when something gets deleted at lightning speed. That's not a coincidence. That's cleanup.
My God, I can't even. These two, Meghan and Harry, are the worst.
So imagine Meghan already spiraling from the party embarrassment, knowing the images weren't flattering, knowing the whispers were spreading, and boom, out of nowhere, Trevor's old comment comes roaring back because of someone she never expected to speak. 2 hits in a row, one from the present, one from the past, both pointing straight at the same uncomfortable truth. With Meghan, things don't just happen. They're crafted, engineered, calculated. And now the cracks in the facade were finally showing, because older Americans have seen people like this before. People who reinvent themselves every few years. People who move fast, burn bridges, then act shocked when things collapse. People with bigger plans than they ever admit out loud. Trevor's line didn't expose a secret. It exposed a pattern. A pattern Meghan tried desperately to hide behind philanthropic speeches, glossy photos, and endless claims of authenticity. But for the first time in ages, the polished image wasn't holding. One commentator said the truth plainly, without sugarcoating. Their deeply unpleasant personalities come through very quickly. It was brutal, but it was real. Harry comes off more likable than Meghan, but both of them, the friendships never last. The bonds never stick. It's always the same cycle. People leave, and somehow they always end up being painted as the villains. Bethany Frankel wasn't even trying to expose Meghan. She was just telling a casual story. But the relaxed tone, the shrug, the lack of shock, like she had Meghan figured out years ago, was what made it sting. Because if Bethany noticed it, who else noticed it? What about the people in Hollywood? The old friends? Even Harry? That's when the story shifts. Everything Trevor said suddenly felt less like a comment and more like a warning Meghan never expected to boomerang back narcissist who cannot get enough of herself while she simultaneously plays the victim. And that's the thing. Meghan didn't just lose control of one embarrassing photo. She started losing control of the one thing she has always guarded like treasure, the story about who she is. And Trevor's quiet, casual comment didn't just open a door, it kicked it down. Because suddenly people were realizing something major. This isn't just bad luck or bad timing. This is a pattern she can't hide anymore. They want us to believe constantly that there's something they're not. The Kris Jenner party was supposed to be dramatic, star-studded, glamorous, the perfect I'm still relevant reboot for Meghan. This was her moment to shimmer again after months of failed projects, fading hype, and awkward headlines. This was supposed to be her polished Hollywood reset billionaires, megastars, influencers. Every person she always wanted to impress was in that room. But from the second she walked in, the vibe was wrong. She wasn't glowing, she wasn't floating, she wasn't giving Hollywood royal. She was tight, aware of every stare, every angle, every phone, like she was acting instead of enjoying. And then the photos dropped and the contrast was harsh. The Kardashians were glowing like they owned the night Harry looked like he wandered into the wrong party, and Meghan didn't fit the room. She's ever wanted is to be invited to these big, superficial, Hollywood-style parties. One guest even whispered that Meghan wasn't angry, just too aware, too controlled, too on. And in Hollywood, if you're supposed to be iconic but you look uncomfortable next to people who live for the spotlight, it's instant social death. Then the pictures vanished. Not trimmed, not cropped, vanished. They had hired like the best paparazzi. And that's when people knew something was off. Because in Hollywood, you don't erase photos unless you're trying to erase a narrative. If you're confident, you shrug it off. If you belong, you don't panic. But Meghan panicked, and the internet smelled it immediately. The second she started deleting, the whispers exploded. Why are you hiding? Who asked for the removal? Did the Kardashians do it? Or did Meghan? Theories spread like wildfire, and every theory made Meghan look worse. If you look confident, you don't erase things. Because that's what people noticed. The pattern: Meghan erases everything she can't control. The first marriage photos? Gone. College friends? Gone. Old interviews that contradict the newer version of herself? Gone. It's like every time the real Meghan leaks out, she scrambles to wipe it clean. And that's why Trevor's comment coming back at this exact moment was a disaster, because his "she'll close" wasn't just a remark, it was a blueprint. A blueprint she's been using for years. The other person who has an issue with the truth is Meghan Markle. People remembered the disappearing wedding photos, the friendships that evaporated, the interviews that don't match anymore, the obsessive need to control every camera. It all suddenly connected in a way Meghan couldn't fight against, because this time it was her ex-husband confirming the vibe. And then came the Hollywood realization that made everything even worse. Meghan's old high-profile friendships? They're gone too. Katy Perry, the Clooneys, the Obamas, the Beckhams, all keeping their distance. Even the Kardashians aren't embracing her fully. Too many circles, too many quiet exits, too many people who once cheered now refusing to clap. Everybody seems to be repelled by them. Hollywood doesn't dump you loudly, it dumps you quietly, subtly, silently. And that's exactly what's been happening to Meghan. The more she tries to control the story, the more the story slips out of her hands and across the ocean. The royal family was watching, not reacting, not fighting, just watching. That's when things took a darker turn, trying to put 50 pounds of mo in a 5-pound bag, because while Hollywood laughed about the Kris Jenner photo fiasco, the palace saw something deeper, something confirming their worst fears. For years, they hoped Meghan's chaos would cool down. They hoped Harry would settle. They hoped the rifts would heal. But the deleted photos, Trevor's resurfaced comment, the timing, everything hit royal desks at once. And for the first time, the palace started asking the question they've avoided for years. How much longer can the monarchy carry this weight? They're complete and utter hypocrites. The royals think in decades, not headlines, not drama, not TikTok trends, They think about stability, legacy, the next generation inheriting a crown without being dragged into constant chaos. William especially. He isn't just Harry's brother anymore. He's a future king who lived through the Diana years. He saw what scandals can do. He saw how one person can destabilize an entire institution. And he refuses to let Harry and Meghan's constant fires burn into his reign. Harry preaching about eco-conscious behavior. So when the photos disappeared and Trevor's comment made Meghan look calculating from the start, the palace didn't treat it as gossip. They saw it as a confirmation of what they've suspected for years. Meghan's influence isn't fading. The drama will not stop on its own. And as long as the titles remain, they're attached to the chaos. Yes, the titles. That conversation quietly started again, because the titles give Meghan and Harry something dangerous. Royal authority without royal responsibility, prestige without duty, platform without loyalty. And that is becoming a problem too big for the monarchy to ignore. What do you think of them? They're ridiculous. The whispers inside palace walls grew louder. The same whispers the public has been sensing too, that this whole mess, the interviews, the book, the fights, the drama, keeps circling back to those titles. And William has reached a point where sentiment no longer matters. He cares about stability, the children, the future of the crown. If that means cutting ties permanently, he will, without blinking. Harry's behavior is only making it worse. He looks like a shell of who he used to be. Isolated, unsure, always tense, like someone trapped between two worlds but belonging to neither. And everyone sees he's not the same man he was before Meghan. Even Meghan's critics know this isn't just her doing. Harry allowed himself to drift so far that now even he can't find his way back. Meghan Markle married for money, the vision board. So when Trevor's comment resurfaced, when the photos disappeared, when Hollywood mocked them, when the palace took notes, everything was pointing in the same direction. Meghan is losing control over the narrative, over Hollywood, over the palace, over public sympathy, and maybe over Harry. And the most dangerous part? She can't erase any of this. Can't